What's up, everybody? It's Grim, your YouTube Wrestling Figures Heavyweight Champion, coming to you today with another Q&A. You're all like, finally a Q&A? You always say soon. Well, when will then be now? Soon. And then is now. So y'all asked me your questions on Twitter this afternoon, and I'm going to answer them for you right now. First question comes from Eric CB Gage, and he wants to know, Grim, what is your stance on hunting, considering you have a bunch of guns? Well, I'm really not all for hunting as far as, like, I'm just going to go out and shoot a deer for no reason. But, like, if I'm going to go out and shoot a deer to eat it, to feed my family, like, that's fine. But, like, I don't like to just go out and shoot a deer and mount its head on the wall, like, and kill a beautiful animal for no reason. Like, I don't think that that's very manly. And, like, a lot of dudes in my family, they all hunt. And, like, I tell them that all the time. I'm like, look, motherfuckers, you guys want to hunt and be manly? Go hunt each other. You know, we'll have a wild, wild west, shoot 'em up bonanza, put that son of a bitch on pay-per-view. Now that's manly. Toy Guy 295 asks me, Grim, we all know that heel wife hates the fact that you spend all your money on toys. But what does the rest of your family think? The rest of my family fully supports my hilariously reckless spending on plastic action figures. They all think it's cool as hell. Every time they come to the house, they think, ooh, can we look at the toy room? Oh my God, you got so much more stuff. Oh, this is amazing. Oh, you should have this on TV. And I'm like, I have it on YouTube. Bob Ding wants to know, what if one of my little Grimettes, one of my little daughters, wants to become a WWE diva in the future? Would I support that or not? Like, and as much as I want to support it and say, yeah, that'd be awesome, go be a diva, you know, and be in the WWE family because my daughter's a wrestler, hang out backstage, meet all the superstars, as great as that would be, like, then that little part of me fears for their safety. And I'm like, no, that's my daughter. You're not going to powerbomb her through a table. What the fuck do you think this is? You know? And especially in TNA Impact, those girls take a lot rougher bumps than the WWE divas do. Actually, even in NXT, those girls get their asses handed to them in those matches. They work their asses off. And I just don't know if I could really sit there and watch my daughter go through that. You know, that would be very difficult for me. You know, you might find my fat ass jumping the barricade and punching some bitch in the face and be like, that's my little girl. You keep your hands off a bitch. And then I would be like, oh God, it's fake. I'm sorry. I'm going to jail. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. Joshua's Figureland and a bunch of others of you have asked me, now that you got your Mattel Razor Ramon, you don't got a bitch to complain about that no more, what Mattel figure flashback do you want now? And it's like, you know, obviously I'm not going to pick a current guy, because current guys we're going to get figures of. But as far as a flashback goes, I want to see Atom Bomb. I thought Atom Bomb was one of the coolest gimmicks when I was a kid. Like, The Undertaker was scary. Atom Bomb was just as scary to me. Like, this guy came out, and I thought that he was just gonna blow shit up. Like, this motherfucker was huge. He was scary. He had a cool look to him. And we got a great Jax figure in the Jax Classic series. But, you know, I need a Mattel now. You know, Jax figures are old, and they're stinky, and they're pooey now. Even though I have 100 of them, and I still love my Jax figures. And maybe we'll get it in the future. Batman OST says, Grim, when you were an indie wrestler, did you ever blade yourself? Blading means taking a blade and cutting your forehead to make you bleed, to make the match look really good. And one time, the guy I was wrestling handed me a razor blade and was like, okay, as soon as I hit you with the chair, you go into the ring and slice your forehead. And I'm like, the fuck? Yeah, you know, I was new to the business. I did not know that that's how they actually made themselves bleed. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Oh yeah, let me just cut myself with the razor blade and make myself bleed. How about nope? But then I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute. I want to make this look really hardcore. I want to make this look awesome. We were doing a TLC match. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So, here comes a chair shot. Boom, over my head. I roll down under the ring. I pull up the blade. And I'm like, oh, that hurts so bad. And then the guy comes over and he starts, you know, because you can't just take breaks, you know. Okay, now my head should be bleeding any second, right? And he's throwing me in the ropes and flipping me, power slam, suplex. And I'm like, where's the blood? What the fuck? He's like, how come you didn't blade, you pussy? And I'm like, I did. He's like, you didn't do it deep enough. Damn it. I fucked that up. So I never actually bladed in a match because that was the only time I was ever asked to do it. And I failed it ×2. Deontay Watson wants to know, Grim, do you prefer going toy hunting and finding figures or ordering from WrestlingFigures.com using discount code Grim at checkout to save 10%? I love figures. I love both. That's like saying, do you like to fuck a blonde or a brunette? I don't give a fuck what color her hair is. As long as the pussy's good, I'm in. When new figures are announced and they're put up for pre-order, and it's like I pre-order them and they're in and I know they're going to ship to me, I'm like, I have like this relief. I have no stress. I know that Elite Series 34 is going to be on my doorstep as soon as they come out. And then, I want to go find them in the store. Because, I like to get a couple extras, and have loose and display and play and all that kind of shit. So now I can go on my toy hunt. I don't have to stress because I already have one. So if I walk into the store and they have everybody but Paige, I ain't pissed. Because trust me, if I walked into a store and I had everybody but Paige and I didn't have Paige, I'm going to be pissed. But I already got her, so I'll find her eventually. Or I'll just order another one if I don't find her in a few weeks. Stephen Hayes wants to know, Grim, would you consider moving to a bigger house considering you have so much stuff? Fuck no! You think I want to take all this down, package it all up in boxes, move it to some other house, and then set it all back up again? Fuck no! Oh my god, I would take a year of my life. It took me years to get this all set up. I didn't just decide to set up this toy room one day. When I first set it up, it looked nothing like this. And I wasn't making YouTube videos or anything like that yet. By the time I finally got on YouTube, my toy room was about where I wanted it to be to show off to people, But before that, it was a very long work in progress. It took me like a year to get it the way I wanted it. And yeah, now I'm kind of being overrun. But I put toys in storage. Don't tell your wife. And, I'll make do with what I have. I don't care. I'd rather be overrun with toys than have to move to a bigger house. Moving is the biggest nightmare. When I moved into this house from my apartment, I fucking hated my life. I hated that week. It was awful. And I don't ever want to move again. I'm going to die right here in this house. Woo! Arif Lesnar wants to know, Grim, would you ever come to the UK? Actually, quite a few people asked me if I would ever come to the UK. Sure, why the hell not? I'd come to the UK. You guys are awesome over there in England, and apparently I have a lot of fans over there. So, yeah, I'll come. Send me a ticket. Apparently international travel is quite expensive, and I'd rather spend my money on toys. So, I don't think that I'll be coming to the UK anytime soon. I actually got contacted by a professional wrestling company in England, and they were like, Grim, if we booked you for a match, would you do it? I was like, yeah, if you want to fly me over there, absolutely. That'd be fantastic. An international trip to the UK on you guys? Sounds fantastic! Yeah! But, as far as traveling, I actually don't like to travel at all. As long as you guys have been watching me on YouTube, where have I gone? Florida once, and the Poconos once. And the Poconos, we drove there. It was a 3-hour ride. And I actually had to get my fat ass on a fucking airplane to go to Florida, which I hated. I do not like flying. If people were meant to be stuffed in a pressurized aluminum tube, strapped with rocket engines, and thrust 30,000 feet into the fucking air, we would have been made that way by God. Getting back to the first question, Anthony Perks wants to know, do you still have Mr. Popo? Which is my pump action shotgun. Yes, I have Mr. Popo, and he has a couple of brothers and sisters, too. Jimmy Genocide wants to know, will they ever push Cesaro? I think that WWE is going to push Cesaro. They started pushing him last year at WrestleMania 30. He won that Battle Royal, and then they failed the fuck out of his push. I don't know why they did that, but, the thing is, in WWE, like, people are like, oh, Dolph Ziggler has not been pushed, and now all of a sudden Dolph Ziggler is being pushed, and then, oh, Bray Wyatt's being buried, and then, oh, no, Dean Ambrose is being buried. The thing is, not every guy can win, and not every guy can be the champion, and not every guy can be a top guy. Sometimes they push these couple guys, and then these guys are on the back burner. And then they push these couple guys, and these guys are on the back burner. And then this guy gets injured, and then that guy can step up. And Cesaro's gonna get his opportunity. If he hangs in the WWE long enough, he's gonna get his opportunity. He might have to hang out there for a few years. And I was like, but they're pushing Roman Reigns, they should be pushing Cesaro, and there's a lot of things that you guys don't realize that go on backstage. For example, I can tell you just from running Grimm's Toy Show, like, how come you don't have Fuckface Freddy Fish Farts on more? Because he's very elusive. He's very hard to come by. He doesn't answer his phone. He doesn't answer his text messages. Every 6 months I run into him in the store and I'm like, start videoing him and then I can get him in a video. But it's not just like I can be like, hey, Freddy, you want to do a video tomorrow? And he'd be like, okay, come on over, Grim. It's very rare, So, why are they not pushing Cesaro? Maybe he's difficult to work with backstage. And Vince don't like him. I don't know. He could be the best wrestler in the world. If Vince don't like you personally, he's like, oh, fuck that guy. I ain't pushing him. You gotta be easy to work with. Why does John Cena get the push he has? Because apparently from what everybody says, John Cena's the easiest guy to work with. He's the first guy to show up. He's the last guy to leave at night. He's a big ass kisser. I'm not trying to say ass kisser in a bad way. I'm trying to say that, like, he's really there for Vince McMahon to do whatever Vince McMahon needs him to do. He doesn't have a bad attitude. Oh, you need me to put this guy over tonight? Sure. Oh, I get to win the belt tonight? Oh, sure. He does whatever the WWE asks of him without an attitude, without grief. Cesaro might stomp around and say, they never push me. I'm the greatest. They should push me. And then, you're going to look at him and go, why should we push that guy? He thinks he's fucking greater than sliced bread, and maybe we don't want to push him. Just to teach him a lesson. Keep him humble. That's what they did with Ryback. They were pushing Ryback to the moon. Apparently, Ryback started getting a big head. Thought his shit didn't stink. Thought he was the greatest thing in the world. Vince is like, turn him heel. Make everybody hate him. And now, look at him. He's like a mid-card guy that, like, almost nobody cares about. I love Ryback. Ryback was getting the biggest pops. They fucking ruined him. Because he was getting a big head backstage. Had nothing to do whether people wanted him pushed or not. So you got to remember, it's a lot more that meets the eye than what you see on TV. Chandler Williams wants to know if I ever won any belts when I was an independent wrestler. Yes, I was the EWA Tag Team Champions with Johnny X. You may have seen Johnny X in some of the SJW matches that we did here. He actually wrestled Corrupted Youth in one of the videos that I posted on here. But yes, me and him were the EWA Tag Team Champions back in 2001. I actually won the titles by doing a swanton bomb off the top rope through a table, and there was the double ref gimmick, which were the Ninja Twins, and they counted 1, 2, 3, even though I got kicked out. It was great. Yokozilla wants to know if the Seth Rollins nude pic scandal is going to affect his career any. I honestly don't think it's going to. Just like Cesaro getting hacked today, I don't think that is going to have any impact on their careers whatsoever. It's not major enough. It's not like they beat the shit out of, like, their wives or something like that. They got hacked. It's not their fault. I don't see any repercussions coming their way. A lot of these guys backstage have their issues outside of the ring, and you can't help it. They're human beings. You just got to kind of separate that thing. Obviously, like Triple H said, well, we're going to keep China out of the Hall of Fame because we don't want people finding her porno tapes. Well, making porno tapes in mass that are currently available all over the internet, currently, yeah, I could see that. But Hulk Hogan has a sex tape out there. That doesn't affect him any because it was like one sex tape and it was like barely released and it's like in black and white and it happened quite a few years ago and he's not continuing to make sex tapes. So, there's different levels of everything and I really don't think that this is going to affect Cesaro or Rollins whatsoever. Finally, a bunch of people wanted to know how long does it take me to make an episode of GTS Wrestling, and honest to God, it depends on the episode, and it depends on my ideas, and it depends on how my brain's working that day. Sometimes I can sit down and nail out an episode, the actual playing of it in 2 or 3 hours, and then the editing of it in another 2 or 3 hours, and I get an episode out in 6 hours. And then other times, it takes me 6 days. And I'm not going to put out a shitty video. I thank you guys for watching this Q&A, and I thank you for tweeting me all your questions all the time. I try to interact with you as much as possible, and please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more. Grim out!